Hello everyone. After the recent buffs, bartering has become a really good life skill once again, so I decided to make a guide explaining how it works and how to make big profit with it. Before we start, I would like to preface with a few thoughts though. First, this is a bartering guide. I won't be going too in depth about how to build and upgrade your boats, how to do sea monster hunting, etc. And second, yes, bartering can make you 9 bill per day, like you probably heard a lot of people mention by now. However, people don't really tell you the whole picture, so I'm going to be very honest here. 1. Although bartering can make you 9 bill a day, that is only if you do 3 resets a day, each one taking 3 hours or more if your boat is kinda shit. 2. Bartering has a barrier of entry. We'll talk about this in a bit, but it's not only getting the carrack. You'll have to invest 1 or 2 months into this before you start seeing any good profits. 3. Bartering is mostly a semi-AFK activity. You need to be able to check on your computer every 5 to 20 minutes depending on the routes that you're doing. Therefore, I recommend this only if you work from home, you want to watch something on the side, or you don't want to fully do any active task. The money per hour is better than AFK fishing, but it's worse than any activity that you could be doing, like gathering, grinding, hunting, etc. 4. You can do bartering actively though. However, this only reduces the time to finish your reset, it doesn't make it better than other active activities. So let's start with the guide. Starting with the topic of the boats. To barter, you want to have a carrack. There is 4 types: Advance, Balance, Valor, and Volante. Each has their own use. Besides Balance, that one is just a mistake. For bartering, I recommend getting an Advance, as it is the one where weight is the easiest to acquire and doesn't require any pay to win later on. If possible, just pre-order the carrack from the marketplace. But if you want to craft one yourself, you need to be aware that you're going to be time gated in this process, because carrack requires materials that are gotten during certain daily and weekly quests. While waiting for your carrack though, you'll still be able to make some barter progress with your inferior sailboat or caravel. Once you have a carrack, you'll need some crow coins to buy some base green gear for it, which you'll then have to enhance to plus 10. The tidal blackstones used to enhance the gear can be gotten with crow coins or material barters, but instead, I personally recommend you start doing the canned guild boss every week with your guild. After maxing out your green gear, the next gearing step would be to get blue gear, but that one is quite a bit more expensive. It will cost you around 100,000 crow coins per piece, or 50,000 and some sea monster hunter materials. The 2 things you need to know though is that your blue gear is going to require your plus 10 green gear, so do not get rid of that, and it also requires special blueprints that you get from certain worker nodes in 4 specific islands. To unlock these 4 nodes, you'll first have to go talk with the node managers of Lerau, Timbera, Racid, and Al-Naha Islands. You'll then have to connect them to your node empire and send workers into these nodes. You need 10 blueprints, and this will take a couple of weeks to get, even with artisan goblins. Since we're talking about boats, let me just explain some mechanics quickly. When you get on a boat, the red bar is the HP, the yellow bar is the rations. If your HP reaches 0, the boat dies, and if your rations reach 0, your boat becomes really slow, like you're overweight. You can recover both of these things at the wharf, but while you're riding, there's also items to recover. For HP, you recover it with ship repair materials by going near the mast and pressing F6. And the rations, you can just click the plus button when you open your boat information and feed it food, like Valencia meals for example. Finally, to the size of the HP and ration bars, you can also see your current speed on the left circle around the sail, and on the right circle, you can see the wind strength and direction. If you're sailing against the wind, you'll want to left-click your sails button. That will tuck the sails away and increase your boat speed in the process. Another thing you want to set up as fast as possible for your boat is your sailors. You can find sailors at Etheria around the whale that is in front of the storage keeper, or inside Velia Inn. If you don't see any, just wait a couple seconds for them to load. Swapping servers doesn't reroll the sailors. Instead, after an hour or so, they get rerolled automatically. To hire the sailors, you'll also need an item called Sailor Certificate. You can buy this for 3 million at Islin Bartali or Filiberto Falazzi. For bartering, you want to only hire innocent sailors, as those will give the max speed to your boat. You want in total 11 innocent sailors. You'll notice quickly that you don't have slots for that many. This is the first pay to win aspect of this life skill. You can increase your sailor slots with captain medallions. You can get one for 7,000 loyalty, but the rest will have to be bought with pearls unfortunately. Sailor's max level is 10, and they level up as you barter, but killing sea monsters will level them much faster. I also recommend firing any sailor that hasn't reached at least 3% endurance at level 9 or 8. To assign sailors to your ship, you need to be at a wharf. Then, with your boat checked out, click the Manage Sailors button. On the top left, you'll see the cabin status. This indicates the capacity for sailors of your boat. Each sailor will cost some cabin status as well as some of their boat weight. When assigning your sailors, be sure to put your highest endurance innocents on the sails, and then the rest can be placed randomly, as their status still apply, while giving some extra effects if they for example placed on the masts or on the deck of the boat. Any leftover sailors you can just place on the cabin slots. Sailors have a condition bar. For the most part, this will never reach 0 unless you remote collect your boat, run out of boat rations, or get sunk by a monster/player. If the bar reaches 0, your sailor will become sick, and you'll need to buy an elixir of regeneration to recover his condition. If you see a sailor has a really low condition and you want to recover it, you can use the item called Chowder at the wharf. Finally, the last thing to know about sailors is a special top left slot, the first mate. These are special sailors that you get through a quest. For bartering, you want Clea. She reduces parley cost by 10%, but the only way of getting her is through acquiring the item Golden Pocket Watch from Special Barter, which means you need to be lucky while bartering. While waiting to get Clea, I recommend to meanwhile get Proa, which will make your boat's dash skill last longer. To unlock Proa, you'll first need to complete the Great Expedition questline, and then, when you talk to Proa, he'll have a quest to allow you to recruit him. Okay, now we can actually get to bartering 7 minutes into the guide, I know. Wait, actually, I forgot one more thing you need. So sailing mastery affects the stats of your ship, so you kinda need to ride your ship with your life skill gear on. But most important of all, you need to have a Manus sailing log. Just like the riding crop for horses, this will increase the AFK speed of your boat, and as well as the speed of the dash ability, so it's mandatory to have at least that. Bartering is a trading life skill where you start from land materials like planks, meat, and hides, and sequentially trade them up for higher valued items. These barter items go from level 1 all the way to level 7, and reaching this last level is the whole goal of bartering, since each one of these level 7 items is worth 100 million silver. Barter trades are available all over the ocean. Each island will have a different trade when you first start a barter reset. You can see them on the world map, or, to make it easier, you open the barter menu. Also, I recommend adding it to the quick tabs on the top of the menu, like I'm doing on screen. You'll notice on the top right of this menu, you have a parley number. That's basically the energy mechanic for bartering. Each trade will cost a certain amount of parley, and you can keep trading as long as you have parley available. Trade parley cost will decrease depending on your barter life skill level, by 10% if you have the Clea first mate, and by another 10% if you have a value pact active. Once your parley reaches 0, or you don't like any of the trade lefts, you need to reset your barter. You'll notice on the top right, below the parley, the points for barter refresh. It will be 100 total if you don't have a value pack, and 150 if you do. The points you have will allow you to do 3 trade item refreshes a day, and the points are recovered every day at 6 AM. To do the reset, you click the Recycle Arrows button, and then the refresh window will come up and you choose Trade Item Barter Refresh. There is also material refreshes. This will make it so the trades you have available are for materials that are used to craft boats. It's not too important later on, but if you're building your carrack, you want to do some of this. Now, to get to actual trading. To do a trade, you first need to go to a wharf. you place the barter item needed for the trade on the boat using the load cargo button. If it's a land material, you don't need to actually go to the wharf, you can just right-click it with the boat window open. After you have the item, you just sail to the correct island, and once there, you click the anchor button, then the barter button, and then the exchange button. And to leave, you click the depart button, otherwise you get stuck on the island. When you anchor, you'll notice two other options. For the most part, all you need to know is that you should click explore when you can. Exploration requires at least one sailor to be on the ship, costs 100,000 rations, and can generate events, items, quests, and other stuff that can be useful for you. Besides materials and trade item trades, you'll notice on the list there's some crow coin trades available too. I don't really recommend doing this unless you are aiming to get crow coins as fast as possible for a certain item. At best, I would do the crow nest trade if it's 500 plus crow coins offer. Finally, there is a last type of bartering called a special barter. When doing any trade, you have a certain chance of triggering this. Higher level trades will have a higher chance. Special barter can give you amazing things like the Clay First Mate, thousands of crow coins, Valiant Garmot Hearts, Trimanus gear, etc. Special barter will either cost you some gold bars or level 4 barter items. Either way, they're always worth doing and including into your routes as fast as possible. This is the biggest layer of RNG in the whole bartering process and can make your 9 build day suddenly go to a 30 build day just because you got the Garmot Heart. Okay, so now you got your boat, your sailors, and you know how barter works. You can finally jump into making zero money for the next month. Yippee! Jokes aside, you probably don't have that much weight available to your ship, especially if you're not on a carrack, so doing trades above level 5 would just be very inefficient, so yeah. As a newborn barterer, you should be focusing on two things: getting your barter count up and building up a stock of lower level items. As you get your barter count up, you'll unlock more routes. That means more islands will be available every reset, increasing the diversity of items and the amount of trades you can do. The 12th and last route is unlocked at around 22,000 trades, but by this time, you'll already be set and doing big monies a long time ago, so don't worry about it. As for building up a stock, what I mean by this is that you're going to try and get a buffer stock of level 2, 3, and 4 items. I would personally aim for 40 greens, 100 blues, and 50 yellows when starting out. You should also know that level 1 to 2 trades, level 2 to 3 trades aren't always the same value. They can change between 1 for 1, 1 for 2, and 1 for 3. Therefore, it's extremely more efficient to do only these trades when you get a 1 for 3 offer. Another thing you should take in account is that you need to set up a base. I recommend either Ilia Island or Velia. This also means you're gonna need a lot of storage space on either of those towns. So, once you start having a solid buffer stock and your carrack is at plus 10 green gear, then you can look to start making some money. It's finally time to start doing some 6-7 routes. You might need to unequip some sailors to have 20,000 weight available for the level 6 items, since you're gonna be getting 10 of them at once and they each weigh 2,000. Either way, don't start doing all the 6-7 routes right away. Keep building up some stock and getting your barter level up. This is because, while your trade barley cost is too high, doing all 6-7 routes isn't actually self-sustainable, and you would bleed out your stock over the days. So you're probably wondering, when does it truly get sustainable? Theoretically, you would need to be at a really high guru level, with Clea and Value Pack, for it to be barely sustainable. However, there is an item that eases all of this: the Crow Trade Voucher. You get this by manufacturing a loot scroll, and it increases your parley by 250,000 for that reset, making it more than enough to do all the 6-7 routes and restock as early as Master 1 with Clea and Value Pack. As you get higher barter levels, you will need to pop these scrolls only once every 2 resets, then every 3, etc. Anyway, by this point, you'll probably know when you're having stock issues or not, and will accordingly pick if you can do all the 6-7 routes or not. My final topic will be some tips. Once you're above skilled 1 sailing, you'll be able to use Breezy Sail, and while AFK, you want to be sure you have the continuous Breezy Sail checkbox below the HP bar marked. This will make you much faster. We also have two other important skills. Power Axle, to start your trip with a big boost after you leave a barter island, and Quick Retreat, to back off of islands in case you need. If you are completely stuck or jump, and even Quick Retreat can save you, then jump off the boat, swim away from it, and once you're far away enough, you can right-click the boat button on the top left. That will teleport your boat to you and put you on top of it. And since we're mentioning this button, if you're having issues grabbing the wheel, you can just left-click that button, or then you can click the board button and then click the board button again, and it will automatically grab the boat wheel. Finally, to AFK path better, open your map, click on this icon up top, and swap from short route to quick route. This will make the boat do less zigzags around the coasts and islands, making your overall speed fall less while you AFK. For bartering, speed is everything at the endgame. You want as much speed as possible. Eventually, because of that, you might be looking into getting a null or a speed Rosalka crystal. However, when first starting out, it's kinda almost the opposite. Speed isn't that good. You'll be sailing overweight a lot, especially if you're still on a sailboat or a caravel. This is because it's better to do a slow trip in some cases than it is to do multiple trips to complete the full trade. A good thing to know when doing this overweight sailing is where the different wharfs are, as you can go to the wharf and unload the items from the boat into your inventory, therefore restoring your boat speed and making the trip back just as fast. Here is a map with most of the wharfs that you should know. I'm gonna now simulate how I do a barter reset, depending if I'm on an early game barter, a mid game barterer, or an end game barterer. So I just jumped on my NA account where I basically have done no bartering. I just bought this sailboat and I have only a 5,000 weight available, so not that much to the trades, right? I can't even see the islands or anything, so either way, let's just check the barters we have, right? We have the 6-7 routes, but we're not going to do them, obviously, because we are a new barterer, total barter 0, right? So what we probably want to do is that we only have one route available. This is very bad. A very bad example, I guess, but I guess if we only have one route available, I will need to try and do all of them. So I will need to first get Freke, and this would get us 10 of these items, which our boat can handle, so it should be fine. After that, we would go to the tier 2, right? And we can just do a 1 for 3. That's a perfect trade for us, even. And this would give us another 10 trades, and this would give 30 items, 400 liters each. So this here would already go above our boat weight, though. Let me see where that island is really quick. Okay, so that island is on quite a bad spot, looks like. That's the island behind Lima, so actually it's not too bad. We can do this trade, get the 30 items, and then go to the wharf at Lima, put them on our inventory, and then go all the way back to Ilia Island. So this is actually not a bad spot, indeed. So after that, we would do this trade here just to get our barter count up, because as we talked about, we want to get our barter count up really fast. So especially because the first like few hundred barters are going to unlock you like 5 or 6 routes, right? So even though this is not a 1 for 3 trade, we're still going to want to do this. So if we go to that blue island and we do all the trades, we're also going to be overweight, but there's a wharf down here that we can just go there again, put the items on our inventory, and then go back to Ilia and drop them there. And after that, as always, we'll do the next trade, which should be oh, my bad, which should be this one. And in this case, it's not too easy to abuse the wharfs, but I guess we could still do it, where we would take the 10 trades there and then come down here to this wharf, overweight, and then back to Ilia. So as I was mentioned during the guide, we want to abuse the wharfs as much as possible to avoid being overweight. And you're going to be overweight a lot, especially if you're on a sailboat or on a carrack without green gear. You're going to be overweight a lot when doing these trades, okay? But yeah, your first couple resets, you might not use all of your parley. Don't worry about it. As I said, you want to get your trade count up, unlock more routes, and once you have like 6, 7, 8 routes, then it starts getting much easier to start stocking up on these blue and green items because you're gonna have more offer. Okay. Okay. So now I'm gonna pretend I'm a mid-game barterer. I'm gonna consider that I have 11k parley per trade instead of 8.5. That means I have 90 trades to deal with. I also consider I have enough weight, removing the sailors, to at least do 167 routes completely. So what do I do as soon as I see my barter routes? Let's find out. So we're only going to do 167 routes. That means probably it's going to be Ariaza and... no, not Ariaza, sorry. It's probably going to be the ones over at Grandia and Starry Midnight Port. So I will need Statue Steer and the Elixir of Youth. Doing that will do 10 trades total, and with this that would be 20 trades, so I have 70 left, right? I would need the Statue Steer and the Elixir of Youth, so I would have to go probably take Balvej Island and Narvo Island here. That means my first trip is gonna much likely go through these two to pick them up and then do the 6-7 route right away. Now, the routes after that will come back into, let me see. So the route is a really good one because it's going to be in Euphoria and Olvia. Because it's on Euphoria and Olvia, that means I can do the level 6 items, and I can trade the level 7s in Euphoria. I can go to the wharf at Euphoria, sell the level 7s, and pick up any other trade items I left there. That means on the way there, I'm going to not only take... I'm gonna take not only the Balvej and the Narvo Island trades. I'm also probably gonna do some other trade, maybe more tier 5 materials if I needed them, but I don't think I would. What you're probably looking for at this stage, as we know, is trying to build up some stock besides the routes, the 6-7 routes. So, but let's just consider we want a yellow from here, okay? So what do? Your first trip would be. You would go to Balvej, so which is here, right? You would take the items here, then you take the items on Narvo, and then you take 10 items here. For example, you take like these 10 items here, these yellows. You would go with your boat overweight to this wharf or to Euphoria, and you would leave the yellows there. After that, you would go all the way down here and do the 2 tier 6 trades. On the way back, you would come here, do the tier 7 trade. You would go to the wharf where you left the yellow items. You would sell the tier 7 items. You would retrieve the other items and put them in your inventory, for example. And then you would go to the next one, the next tier 7 trade, which would be Olvia Coast. And then finally come back to Ilia. That would make 40 trades in one trip. So basically almost half of your trades would be done in one trip. You would sell all the 10 tier 7 items, so that's a bill in silver, and you would get to deposit the yellow items that you got on Ilia. After that, you probably are gonna look for some trades. For example, there's a couple 1-3 trades around Ilia, and if you're, let's say we are low on like 2 of these items, then we're gonna do 7 trades 0 or 6, depending how many we want. We can even do 10 of them, and then come back overweight because Ilia is nearby. So let's say we're gonna do 10. Okay, so I'll do this 10, and then I'll do this 10, and I'll come back. That's another 20 trades done, and we managed to stock up in 30 blue items, right? And now we might need some green items as well. But maybe we want the green items that are all the way over here, right? Oh, this is not a good example because it doesn't have Seagull figurine available, actually. So let's say we want these ones instead. Okay, so we want to grab the tier 1 first, and let's say we want to do those 10 trades, right? That means we want 10 tier 1s. We're gonna grab them, but we could also consider that we want these yellows here, right? Or maybe even this greens here, if we have some golden sand. So what we can do is that we come here, we do the distant trades, right? That would be 60 trades total. We'd come all the way here, we do distant trades, we'd get 30 items, that would be 70 trades now. We'd go to Quit Island now, with the boat overweight. We'd put the wharf, we would put, at the wharf we put the green items in our inventory, and then we do these 10 trades here, or for example, or these 10 trades, right? And then we would go back to Ilia, and we're back here, and we only have 10 trades left, and we could probably use like, I don't know, there's probably more trades here that we could use, like more yellows, maybe those greens there, right? But you get the point. The objective as a mid-game barterer is to try and stock up and to try and minimize the amounts of trips that you do. Sometimes don't worry about being overweight on these trips, okay? Now, as a endgame barterer, instead though, we want to do all the 6-7 routes, right? So how would that change? It's very simple. So the same way that I said we could leave items in Etheria, we're gonna do the same. But this time we're not gonna do the yellow trades, right? We're gonna do red trades. What does that mean? It means that if I want to take the red items there that might be useful for a trade, I need to first check which ones it is. So I need a statue tier, youth, herb, portrait, figurine, and candle. If I go here, I have youth, hold on, yeah, youth, herb, portrait, statue tier, candle, and dragon. You can see that the candle and dragon are very close to Willius, so I don't need to worry about them. But the herb and the portrait are right next to Etheria, which is really far away. So what you can do is you're gonna take the 5 statues, the 5 youths on the way, and then you're gonna take the 5 herb and the 5 portraits. Then you're gonna leave this, you're gonna leave the herb and the portrait at Etheria. And then you're gonna go do, right? So you're gonna take all the 20 reds, you're gonna leave the ones you don't need at Etheria, you're gonna come down here to do these tier 6 trades, and then, just like before, you're gonna go do the tier 7, gonna sell the items here, you're gonna replace the tier 5 items into your boat, come here, do this tier 7, and go back to Ilia. Now you'll have the 10 tier 5 items that were too far away in your Ilia storage, which is very central, right? So what you do next? Next, you would just go for either of the 6-7 routes, right? So you would just see, you just take the 2 items you got extra that were in Etheria, and you'll take them up to these 2, Ariaza and Akovan. So we're gonna take these 2 all the way to Ariaza and Akovan, which are here, and then you'll come back and do the tier 7s on this side. In this case, not this, it's the one in Nelia and Lemma, so that one and that one. Okay, and after you come back, you go do the ones you need for this. So the 6-7 routes are gonna take you the longest, doing all 3. It's probably gonna take like an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on your boat speed. And it's gonna cost 90 trades. As an endgame barterer, I still got around 20 to 30 trades to play with, right? So at this point, you would just do the same as a mid-game barter, and you would look around for any materials you need, and you would restock on them. In this case, I can actually just look at my storage here, right? So if I have 30 trades to play with, I can just come here. Is there any greens I want to stock up on? Let me see. Not really. That's a pretty solid amount of greens I have here. So let's see the blues now. Is there any blues I want to stock up here? Yes, there is. Like, I probably want to get some teacups here. So I would do like 7 of these trades, for example. Because that's the capacity of my boat, 7 of this. For 21 of the blues. I also think I'm kind of low on round knives and gooey monsters, so in this reset I'm probably just gonna do all 3 blues. Yeah, because the yellows are not calling my attention, so in this reset I would just probably do 21 trades for the 21 blues each. I hope this guide was helpful. I recommend you join the Sailing Discord if you have any further questions or want to share your progress. And as always, I stream on Twitch, the link is on the description, and I hope all of you have fun out in the seas. Goodbye.